All right, guys, good morning. Good morning. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of Gar Capital. It is Monday, October 16th, 2023. Glad to be with you this morning on a Monday. Let's go ahead and go around the horn and get started. Dow futures up 212 points, NASDAQ up 54 points, 0.36%, S&P 500, 4381, up 0.54%. The Russell getting a bounce here. Remember, we talked about that death cross on the future side. Up 1% today, so a little bit of a relief bounce here. 10-year Treasury yields 4.683. Yields are up, stocks are up. There you go. Dollar index 106.36 this morning, down about 0.27%. The VIX getting hit, down 4.35%. If you guys joined me for the weekend video, I did it yesterday regards to the recap. I talked about on the almanac that the Monday before October expiration date, expiry OPEX is on Friday. The Dow has been up 30 of the last 40 times the Monday before OPEX. So maybe it could be just one of those statistical anomalies that we've been getting lately, past 30 years, that Monday being bullish. But so far, we've been kind of holding on to that analog here on the future side. Crude oil down 0.17%, 87.52. Gasoline futures are up 0.53%. $2.27, 1931 for gold. That's down 0.53%, even with the dollar down. So a little bit of a risk on sentiment here. Silver futures down 0.59%, 22.76. Copper is up 0.5%. Euro dollar up 32 pips, 105.43. Dollar yen 149.44, down 20 pips. Pound dollar 121.75, up 32 pips. Bitcoin and Ethereum catching some bids this morning on expectations or hopes of that Bitcoin ETF finally getting approved. I believe by the SEC, or is it CTFC? I'm not really sure. I think it's the SEC, but nothing has been officially announced yet. So here we are. Good morning, all. Let's go ahead and take a look at some pre-market movers, at least on Finviz. So here we go. Here is the heat map for the day, and here are some of the names that stand out. Tesla down about 0.68% this morning. Nvidia's down and Apple's down. There was a Bloomberg article regarding Apple having weaker than expected sales in China, that Huawei is doing better than Apple over there. But you can see the financials starting to move. Bank of America reports tomorrow. We talked about earnings on the recap video, or the recap video yesterday, excuse me. I was going to say weekly recap, but it's recap video. There's one stock here, Elevance Health, down about 4%. Other than that, it's pretty much as green across the board. Even with crude down, energy is up, so imagine that. So getting a nice little bounce across the board. What do we expect really moving forward is just more chop, at least for now. Let's go to the daily here on S&P 500. And you could see, again, that the trend line is so key, right? We're still stuck here in this little area of support. We're right now at 43.79. Really can't do much until you get above the 100-day here at 44.36. So it is going to be a waiting game at this time. I did put a couple of names here this, excuse me, yesterday. Here it is. I went ahead and put a couple of stocks I'm watching for the week, guys. I talked more into detail about them on this video, so make sure to check that out. Kind of feel weird this morning because I was reading out all the headlines, kind of letting everyone know what's up, and looking at this morning, it's just not much going on. And I was like thinking to myself, do I do this video for you guys? Because this, yes, we had some kind of movement green in the morning, but nothing has really broken, and we really went over a ton of stuff on the weekly video. So I'm just kind of like, man, I don't want to sound redundant with y'all. Definitely don't want to waste your guys' time, but here's a quick watch list of the names I'm watching. Google targeting the 200 DMA if we're below 137.95, looking at the 135 and 136 strike puts. Obviously, we're green this morning, so that's probably not going to happen. If you guys had QQQ puts over the weekend, we closed them for 30%. I had a runner. We're getting a little bit of a bounce today. So again, that was for Friday expiry. And you can see holding over the weekend. Very, very difficult. Even with all the headlines from the Middle East, here we are. Obviously, there's hopes for any kind of peace deal in terms of the Middle East, Israel and Palestine, but nothing confirmed as of yet. Apple looking for a breakdown below 177.91. We're at 178.07. Then I would target the 175 puts. Let's take a look here. That's your 50-day. When I get below here 177.86, then I'll target the 20. So I think Apple looks pretty good for a short. The only problem is the rest of the market is bouncing, and Apple is a big part, or the biggest part of the market, as we know. So we know that it is underperforming, at least relatively speaking, to the Nasdaq and the Dow and the S&P, which they're all a part of. But we don't want just one. We don't want Apple just being the only name we trade to the downside. We want other things to be down as well, not just one stock itself. But underperforming would be nice if you are shorting, obviously. But let's wait for that alert first. Good morning, Garcap. Thoughts on Lulu pre-market? And good morning, James. Good morning, Zoom Balloon. Let's take a look at Lulu. They were just added to the S&P 500 index, with Activision Blizzard being removed. On the daily, you're above the 20, which is nice. But the big boost is this morning, 402.85. Do you really chase this here? Most names that get added to the S&P, think Tesla. Tesla was not always in the S&P. I believe that was added 2 years ago or so. So they pop and then they'll pull back a little bit. Is there anything really to do here? I mean, you have Fibonacci extensions. That's pretty much it. Let me see if I can get this here. And I really just did it based on 2018, the fibs there. Let me see if I can get this set up here. So if we want to go back from 2020, we can always adjust that. Let's go ahead and do top to bottom fibs. All right. I'm going to go up here, 45.83. Let's do the 3-year. I don't know why. See if I can do this. There we go. So here's your weekly. Not much going on. We can go ahead and bring it down from the lows. So we're back above the 50% retracement on the weekly. You can see it here. Want to get above the 61.8, which we're about to. We're at 402. Really, your next target would be around 435 here on Lulu, holding above the 200-day throughout the year. It's more of just them being added to the S&P 500 more than anything else. You still have one more gap here on the daily at 321.88. So that could fill as well. I would not run out and buy Lululemon. If you're a Lululemon shareholder, rejoice. Would you want to sell into weakness here? Again, if you need the money, that's really it. If you don't, leave it alone. And if you do, then sell it. That's really it. Lulu here is really just a selling opportunity for those who need to raise cash for the stock, because this is a nice bump. But if you're a holder, you're probably not buying here just because it was added to the S&P 500. Yes, that would add more buyers, ETF flow coming in, but not really much in terms of its business news. That's why it's bouncing. So yeah, thanks. I was asking for a quick scalp of puts at the open. All right, let's take a look at it. I can't say it's a terrible idea, but you need to get it below 396.03, and then there's the gap here at 379. So if you get below 396, you could maybe put on a little lotto there for like the 375 to 380 puts for the week. Who knows how expensive that'll be. Just a little difficult. So this might get away from you where it just starts popping to 410. You can see the Dow up 198. And really, what has changed past 2 weeks where we've had this volatility up and down? Not really much. Just watching rates move back and forth, oil move back and forth, the dollar move back and forth, and more headlines in the Middle East. This is October for you guys. Not easy. Not easy. Let's take a look at Qs together. All right. Here we go. 4-hour QQQ trend line. This is why we went ahead and shorted. Rejected the trend line here. We are now at 366.47. Right around here. Not much to do there still, unfortunately. Any gaps to fill? No, we don't. I got an alert below 362.37. That's your 100-day. That's your 20-day. If you get above 367.06, possibly you can maybe trade it to the 375s. I think that wouldn't be worth it. If anything, you're probably fading this until you break out. So on QQQ, you still kind of have to stay short-term short as for now, even though we're bouncing. S&P, that trend line is still holding up. Got to stay above the 200-day. You're above the 20-day. 433.80 currently, right on this yellow line. Wow, beat that. And then you got to fill this gap right there. And there's also another gap on Apple as well. I think that was filled. But SPY, That's the gap, 438.34. So you're right at the midpoint. Really can't go long, really can't go short. I would say maybe 435 you can try, but why even tempt fate? Get above the 100, that would confirm. Get above the 50, that would confirm the upside for SPY, and we can go from there. So we'll see what we get. Kind of tough right now. I know that the market is up today, don't get me wrong. Nice to see, but in a weird way, I would have preferred to be down and see if we could play the bounce. Now we got to see if we fade this pop. And there's going to be a lot of waiting, I've noticed lately, just for the fact that we have earnings coming later this week. And the only thing we got now going on is really Fed speakers. So we're going to keep an eye on what's to be expected with those Fed speakers, if they give us any hints on rate increases. And also earnings reports are going to be key. Netflix reports this week, does have a gap to fill at 341.29. Lord knows how expensive those premiums are. So you're going to have to be careful on how much you spend on them, because you're talking about possibly $5, $6, $7, $8. $8 premiums for these kind of puts or calls because of the volume coming in. Think of it at kind of the same pricing as Nvidia. Nvidia tends to be pretty expensive when they have earnings in the $10, $12 range. Netflix might be there, even though it's slightly below what Nvidia costs in terms of stock price. And again, we're not the only ones that are seeing this gap fill, guys. We all have the same information. So God knows how many puts are going to be bought on Netflix, expecting more weakness in the name, especially with earnings. So I wish I had more for you guys on a Monday, but nothing really changed overnight. Yes, you had some stocks bouncing, technical bounces, I guess, but nothing to get too excited of, to be completely honest. If anything, you're probably fading this rally until earnings, and if earnings do beat kind of the low low bar of expectations, then we'll get a bounce. But we just got to survive the rest of the month of October. That's really it. That's where we've had the seasonality be weaker due to pre-presidential election seasonality, and that's what we've been kind of talking about now for a couple of months. So we'll see what we get moving forward. I really don't expect much today, but let's see if there's any headlines that come in. Maybe Apple, maybe Google. Again, I talked about the watch list. Let's see if any of those alerts break and kind of make it nice and easy. I would love to get two, maybe one trade today, and then see how we do tomorrow. We do have retail sales on Wednesday. I talked about that on the video as well. So kind of all quiet in the Western Front. The most quiet up 203-point Dow day I have seen in a while, I've noticed. Not a lot of celebration out there. So we'll see what we get moving forward. Have a great rest of your morning. I will see you guys tomorrow for the next morning note. And of course, I will be on the market blog live with you, giving you the details and giving you all the information as we go. Have a great rest of your morning, guys. Cheers.